This meeting is being recorded.
I'm Kathleen.
Hi, Kathleen.
Hi.
Thanks for coming, Kathleen.
Oh, my pleasure.
Nice to meet you both.
Thank you.
Maya is our trip admin. So
okay.
Everything I do, I get to turn it over to her at some point. You know, as she gets on the plane, all that paperwork responsibility and stuff becomes hers. So it's actually not that hard. She's fully capable. Write some pretty badass grants for us too. So she's
great. Oh, that's amazing.
Yes, I do my best. I do my best.
So Kathleen,
yeah.
Kathleen, who are you with, or who are you?
I'm with Cherish Uganda.
Oh, okay.
The second organization I think that this trip is going to stop by.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you were a spy or something like that.
I just got the Zoom link and I felt like joining you guys.
Those people in Uganda are like spies and stuff, so we're really cautious.
You should be.
Didn't you just come back from there, Kathleen?
No, I'm actually going in a couple weeks.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, we've postponed about 50 times, it feels like. So this time it looks like it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's right.
Who are you flying there with?
We're doing United Brussels.
Oh, good. I'm writing this down.
Kathleen, did you meet Chuck? Did you meet Chuck?
No. Hi, Chuck.
First time.
Tell me who you all are.
I'm with King's Kids Africa.
Oh, great. Okay.
He's one of the big groups on the list. And then my name's Dan. I'm on the board of Giving University.
Hey, Dan.
And Maya, I think you guys met. She's the admin on the trip. And so anyway, I think everybody knows everybody now. Should be best friends. Dinner at 6.
All right.
Yep. Dan, do you want to run this or what?
Why don't you go ahead and I think I'll have you share the thing. I'll introduce a little bit. This trip has been kicked around a lot. Like you were saying, Kathleen, it's like many trips that we have at GU. And did we do a GU trip to you guys before?
To us at Cherish, you did, yes.
We did.
I actually led that. 2017, I led that trip.
Okay, super. So Kathleen has experience in Uganda, and she kind of knows a little bit about what we do. I think you were with the VCC group, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, There we go. The VCC group is a little twist from GU, but they're pretty close. So anyway, we
still need it.
Yeah, So anyway, I think this one's been rescheduled 4 times. And so it starts getting a little loose and sometimes things get moved around. But we have had 5 GU trips since last May. And so we've had no COVID. So we've been very blessed. And so that's been good. And we're finding there's not a lot of people out there doing stuff. So we're trying to still remain a model of getting out there and doing stuff. Just to give you an illustration, my Mexico trip is in the last week of April. And last year we had 20, so we did pretty good. And this year on my list, because I get carried away, we have 33 or 34. So we'll see kind of how it works out. But my point is this, there's a lot of interest in doing stuff. And so that's kind of what we're starting to see. So we're really excited about the Uganda trip because we waited so long to do it. And Chuck's place is awesome. And Chuck has located a few things for us to look at. And we got 2 great leaders. Jaime, who is not on the call, is in Mexico because his mom or dad had somebody pass away. And so I'm recording the call so we can kind of let Jaime see what we did. And Maya's been really good at going on a lot of trips. In GU, you get a free big trip, which this is, and then you get a free service trip. And Maya's been on a whole bunch of trips. So she's paid for some of her trips. and she's always got a great attitude. And then this trip, as admin, we take care of her expenses because, you know, you do have more responsibility when you're the leader of the admin. So with that being said, we had a kind of an original itinerary, but we shifted it around a little bit. And I think I'll pass it to Beth to kind of maybe run through that part with you and kind of see where we're at on all this.
Okay. I will, before I shoot it up on the screen, just preface this. So a little bit of conversation I had with Chuck yesterday, and the same would go for you, Kathleen, for this segment. And I know you have seen these documents. All of this is just here, let's fill these spots. It doesn't mean that anything we've designated on any particular day has to stay. It can be moved around and shifted so that it's appropriate for the organizations and the timing of everything. So with that said, this is the most recent rendition. Sorry, most recent rendition. Can you help me to share, please, or give me permission, Dan?
Yes, we do need to teach you how to share. So let's do that.
Yeah, I need you to share. Ooh, busted.
Anyway.
Okay. So with that said, you can see like we've got, you know, King's Kids here on Sunday, orphanage tour, you know, optional church at the top. And Dan will probably touch on optional church, but if this being a Sunday, it doesn't make sense to do orphanage tours, then, you know, let's shift it to another day. Cultural presentation can be, you know, anytime really. It's great if it's at the beginning, but it doesn't have to be, you know, it can be throughout any of that time. We've talked about Jenga community.
Before you go on, help me understand, what's the cultural knowledge presentation?
I'll let Dan speak to that.
Normally what we do, and it varies every trip, and I try to have a little time where people can learn about the culture. And usually the way I find somebody is I talk to my trip on-site leaders, or, you know, people like you guys or other people that we kind of round up.
I want to come in Tuesday morning. Okay.
And so I just have them do about an hour. A lot of times we'll talk about the different religions of the country, some of the history of the country, and things like that. And one reason I do that is we have non-churched on the trips. And so it's a way to kind of weave in the story of Christianity and how it fits into that country. And so it could take many different shapes. You know, when I was in Serbia, I had a guy talk about Islam for a while because it was a big faith in that country. So I just try to give people a little bit of a picture of the different faiths. My hope always being that the contrast between Christianity and the other faiths will be, you know, it'll be bright and people will see. So nothing specific yet, but that's kind of what our thinking is.
Okay.
Sorry.
The optional church thing, whether people are Christian or of faith or not, it's still interesting for them to visit, you know, some of the church services. The women, they'll go, ah! And they'll be singing and stuff, and it's pretty interesting for them to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I do normally with that is, and I always have to tell, I line up a lot of Christian nonprofits, you know, on purpose. And I always have to remind them because they're so used to church groups that they think they talk in church talk a lot, and they think churchy. And so what I tell them is, I said, listen, I'll go to a service on Sunday. It'll be optional for people, and we'll only stay for an hour. So I said, a lot of times my groups will stay in the back row and then, you know, quietly leave after an hour, because I try not to overdo it with my non-church friends. And so that's kind of what that's all about. Because I know sometimes the services can be 3 hours and things like that.
Well, and it's not that we don't want them to find Jesus, but it'll turn them off to the whole idea of generosity if just one thing kind of doesn't go well. And while we hate to have to talk like that, we want to be mindful of, the long-term picture in their lives. Is if we get to plant a seed, and they have that kind of good experience, then the Lord continues to do the rest. And on the same token, I've heard of radical changes in people. On the Nigeria trip we just sent, one woman gave her life to the Lord. So you never know what he's going to do. So, yeah. So even church is cultural. So like you said, Chuck, you're right, there's a lot to be learned from the church, and maybe that's something that gets talked about the first day is the integration of the culture and the faith and just traditions and those sorts of things. So just some food for thought. And again, like we kind of talked, if you're not able to go, I'm sure Glenn, could very easily, slide into these spots. And if you want to talk to him about this layout of this schedule, great, take this, and then over maybe the next 2 or 3 weeks, work on solidifying those visits and stops with those organizations. And if you need us to, spearhead that with an email to somebody, we can do that too. But I know when we talked in the very beginning, you had said Robbie Hines was really, was it Robbie?
Robbie Kane and
Kane,
Hines.
sorry. Yeah. That they were good people to tap for other places to stop. So would love to get that. This is a great time right now is to start to solidify that. And so these dates are definitely solid and you can use those.
Okay.
Same goes for you, Kathleen. The dates are solid. Whatever you think, makes the most sense. The one thing I don't know is how long that trip from Mbali back to Entebbe is. Chuck, do you have knowledge?
Well, they've really improved that, the Chinese came in and built highways for them and stuff, they trade off.
They did that over there, huh?
Yeah.
They do that all over Africa. Actually.
Yeah, they do. Take their rare earth minerals for some road work.
Right.
Yeah.
So I would say it would be less than 6 hours now.
Oh, wow. Okay. I remember your first proposal, you had said it was, 6 hours. So Mbali, Entebbe to Mbali. Okay. So logistically, Kathleen has said that Cherish is able to help us with transportation. So, theoretically, your team, Chuck, could pick the whole team up on Saturday, the 11th, provide transportation, to Mbali, and then get the team back to Entebbe to Cherish. And then you guys could be done with the transportation side on your end.
Okay.
So if, the team needs to leave at 7 a.m. to get everybody there by, 1 or 2, then, that's what we'll do.
Get everyone there. Where's there by 1 or 2?
On Thursday, the 16th.
Oh, back to
leave Mbali to get back to Entebbe. Yeah. So I'm kind of leaning on you to help, organize that van side to give us a feel for, when we need to plan to leave. Okay, we'll just, yeah.
The other thing on the van side is we're willing to pay for extra vans. The one thing we've done in this COVID era is we've really cut our numbers in the vans to about half. And so people are always trying to save money, but we've said we're good with half, extra vans, we pay for it. And we just feel it's a little better, to keep people spread out. At least it helps everybody's brain a little bit. And so that's kind of one thing we do. On the lodging, we kind of do the same thing. If we can spread out people or have half the number of people in wherever you normally lodge them, that's kind of what works still for us.
Okay.
And I know COVID's really zooming down right now and all that good stuff, but I think the planning part is, it's best to plan like it's still kind of normal and like, a drag. And then, whatever's better is better. I was really surprised on our, a year ago, our Power Week trip, how nobody was paranoid about masks and all that, except for me, because I was the leader. That was mostly why. So it was really interesting. I felt like everybody felt like they had freedom. So as a leader, you kind of have to be a little bit of a Nazi sometimes, which I guess, good at. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know we're happy to pay for the extra to spread things out.
Yeah. And speaking of that, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, on the vans, once you know the count of people, then you can just tell us how many vans you need, but we don't have any problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
We use the vans all the time when people come in to visit.
Okay.
Right.
And so, yeah.
So
yeah,
right now we have the max set at 15, so it won't be more than 15 people.
And the other thing is we're happy to pay you for your vans, some reasonable amount. We don't expect anything to be comped.
Yeah.
I think we gave an estimate. I mean, we did a rough estimate of the trip and cost of the vans and stuff before.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think, and same goes for y'all at Cherish, gas or manpower, someone to drive, whatever needed, right, to pay their salaries and such.
And now that I know, the dates and the amount of time that you would be able to be in Entebbe, the question would be, do you want us to make all the arrangements at the hotel and just basically your time with us, we just kind of lump it all together and just give you a per person cost?
Yeah.
Is that how you want us to do it?
Yeah, thank you for reminding me about that. So Dan, Kathleen and I had that conversation that they're able to, make sure that the hotel that they typically use is secured on our behalf, and set all that up for us. I thought that was a great idea. I'd like them to run with that, unless you've got some objection or want to talk through that.
No, my only objection is I'd like to make your job harder, and it just sounds like it makes it way easier.
For sure.
Well, the same. I would recommend that, for, I don't know if you're still planning on using the Mount Elgon Hotel, which we had recommended, but it would be more cost effective to have them make have Glenn as a local make the reservations as opposed to me or you make the reservations.
Yeah, and we're happy to pre-fund and wire money wherever it needs to go to make sure that the teams have what they need, for us in advance. Hotels, food, transportation paid up front, totally fine, happy to do that. And then even from the aspect of PCR tests. So we did that through Nigeria, and I don't know how strict Uganda is right now. Maybe Kathleen, when you do the run through on your trip, you'll have a grasp of what that looks like. Obviously, everything changes, from moment to moment. I just sent Steve and Nancy Bray off to France, and we started planning 2.5 weeks ago, and 2 days before they were ready to fly, everything changed. So, you just, right now, it's a time of such great flexibility.
When our Brett Phillips, the CEO at Cherish, he was just there in December, and to get his PCR test to come back, they came out to Cherish. Somebody came out and did it, and so he didn't even have to leave campus. So
cool.
That will be. I can look into that if that's because you'll be with us right before you leave. So
that would make it so much easier on Maya and Jaime. If we can do that and make that part streamlined. I know that may put work on your team's end, but I'd rather rely on all of you there or them who are there, right? Doing it every day. So that'd be great if you'd add that to that list.
Yep, I will.
Okay. I don't think right now that it's required for people who land to have PCR tests or quarantines. Do either of you want to speak on that?
As far as I know, you still have to have a PCR test. I think it's 72 hours before you land.
Okay.
I don't think that has changed. They were not asking anything about vaccine records even in December, but they were for sure testing still.
Okay.
So
All right.
But that's another thing I can let you know when I go in March. And again, by June, a lot can change.
No kidding.
So,
President Biden's, right now demand that everybody have a 24-hour PCR test could change, or it remains, just becomes, regular stuff. So we'll plan for that accordingly. Okay.
Yep.
So Chuck, with regards to these organizations that are on there now, they're from your original list. If there's anything else you want to add to fill it up. And I also told Chuck last night that it would be great to have a service component where, there's some kind of engagement. Maya, if you have any thoughts on what you think would be good for a team, service idea, please feel free to chime in. You've done that a lot.
Yeah, I know when we were in Colombia this past September, the service projects that I think are pretty easy to put together that make a huge impact are any, feedings, so if there's anything like that we can do, feeding the homeless, are there, is there food that we can give out? Even so King's Kids is an orphanage, right?
Yeah.
Even if you could, put us in the kitchen a couple hours while we're there, something like that, something hands-on. I mean, the GU crews, we're pretty willing to get in there and get our hands dirty. Okay, we'll paint, we'll build. There's whatever you need. That would also be cool if you have, some more physical projects that need to be completed to get set up, painting, bunk beds, something like that.
Yep, definitely. And Jaime is a skilled generator tech, and we send him down to Mexico all the time to fix stuff. So if you've got something that needs a tune-up, need your man.
I'm glad we'll do it.
Yeah, Chuck, there's one group on there that I dropped off for whatever reason, and I think it was maybe because we didn't have all the information, but it's called Child of Hope. And they make improvements for slum children. So I don't know if you want to include that one back on, or if you want to go back to investigating that one.
I never knew about that one, so that wasn't something that came off our list. And
okay. Maybe I'll send you. This is the very first one that you drafted for us.
Okay.
I'll see if I can find the original and get that back to you.
Okay. And then also I see that John 414 is on there, and that was on one of our original lists, but it doesn't really work for this sort of trip. I mean, they randomly drill a water well, and a water well may be 100 miles away, and it may not be this week, it may be in 2 weeks. So I conclude that wouldn't be for us.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. So obviously we're open to swapping things out, even so far as to make a change, in first part of May, which is fine.
I have a question on that one, Chuck. Do you know them pretty well, or?
No, didn't know them at all.
You didn't? Okay. Sometimes when a group is really good like that, what we'll do is we'll ask them to do an hour presentation to our group, do a video. If they're really top notch, we try to be creative in how we work with them. And if they maybe had a well they built, maybe we'd go look at it. So if this thing's kind of resurfaced and bubbling back up. So if you find somebody, it doesn't have to be these guys, but if you find somebody and a video presentation would work, that also works for the group. Okay. When I was in Serbia, there was a lot of ministries to the gypsies. We just couldn't squeeze them all in, and some of the areas were pretty nasty areas. And so we just had a conference room and had the guy that worked with them tell us about them, showed pictures, videos. And so wasn't really hands-on, but we're pretty engaged. And so some of these blocks of time we can fill that way also. Okay. We're open to being pretty creative.
Okay.
Well, and that applies to Entebbe too. So Kathleen, if you think that there's something off-site that would be good, to take a tour of Entebbe to see the broader area, we're for that as well,
Okay.
To understand what the differences are, right?
Yeah. Are you looking for more organizations up in the Mbale area? Is that what you're saying, or
no? I would say Entebbe.
Oh, okay.
Entebbe. Yeah.
Okay. We did take when we took our GU trip in 2017. We visited an orphanage. I think it's called SOS. Have you heard of it, Chuck? That yeah, it's in Entebbe, and it was very much the opposite of what you picture. An African orphanage to be like, and they're funded through Germany. And anyway, the bottom line was it was really cool to see the opposite of, what you would, what probably they will experience everywhere else. The homes had TVs in them and washing machines and, just stuff that is, once those kids age out, there's no way they're walking back into that kind of atmosphere. So it was a good experience to see it for contrast, if nothing else. And, I'm assuming it's a whole different team that Maya's taking. So it might be worthy to, go
I'll have to look for that past info in our files and see if we can resurrect. Yeah. Okay.
And Chuck, with your group, you might, whoever, does some of your presentation stuff, might want to talk about what happens to kids when they age out. Do they age out at 18 in Uganda or?
Nominally, yeah.
Do they? Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes groups have plans to, like in Mexico, the one guy we work with, they're going to build other facilities, kind of like apartments for kids to have like 4 or 5 years of transition. So I think it's part of the story, the whole story. And so, feel free to expand on that. Also, maybe, you're the expert on this, of course, but maybe, explain how you get the kids in the first place. And, the story behind that. Anyway, the one thing is if you guys have any good videos of any of this stuff, I don't care which one it is, make sure I get it, because I start pushing these trips really hard. And Beth knows that's kind of what I do. And when I have a couple good video clips, it really helps me get a good group together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll start showing it in the class, or we'll do it when we have a team call and you'll share the video, it drums up interest. And then it gives people that kind of that calm when they know what to expect. I think that helps a lot. Yeah.
And I kind of go around and do little breakfast meet and greets or lunch things. And if I have a trip coming up, I'll show a couple clips. So anyway, we use it pretty well, especially the good stuff.
Okay.
Do you have a deadline that people can sign up by?
Usually, I think it really depends on the flow. If we get, a bunch of people that sign up right away, and then it's, 20 days, 30 days before, and we're getting ready to buy tickets and people drop off, we will leave it open a little bit and slide a couple people in. So it's not set, but, technically, at least, 21 days out, because we have to buy it. Yeah.
The other thing I want to mention too is we have one more GU class starting where I think we could squeeze them onto the trip. It's April 5th or whatever Thursday is that one.
Yep. April
so
7th.
If you got friends or family or Maya, you got a friend or two or whatever, and they haven't done GU, we could squeeze them in to that class, and we could if they're doing a good job in class, we'll get them on the trip.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So just so you guys know, it's not closed.
Yeah.
Chuck, are you in Mbale now, or are you in the US?
No, we live just outside Nashville.
Oh, okay. I don't know when you last went, but now Uganda, the visa process is all online, and they're telling you need to give them 30 days, so you used to be able to just, get your visa upon arrival, but they want it all done online now. So that might be a consideration when you're talking about deadlines for signing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So we can't do visa on arrival? They're not doing that?
As of December, you couldn't. But, you know, Uganda, they change their mind daily too. So
I know. Nigeria,
pretty,
that was the only way to get it done was visa on arrival. It was kind of
right.
It's pretty easy to do it online. I've done it.
Okay.
It is. It's super easy, but there's just never a guarantee how long they're going to take. And if, you know, something looks funny, it could sit on someone's desk and, you know.
Yeah, agreed. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. That's a good heads up. Then we will set a deadline. Any questions or comments? You know, if they don't come to you today, that's fine. I would just say, you know, please reach out. And I would very much like if, you know, each of you separately, Kathleen and Chuck, took this, the itinerary, and start to fill it out, you know, move it around. And then, you know, get back to me as you know things, and we'll start to kind of flesh this out a little bit more. Dan, what are you thinking about a trip call to raise awareness when you want to?
The trip is June. Probably by trip call, you mean people that are signed up and or interested? Is that what you mean?
Interested, yeah.
Interested people, I'd say.
Yeah. Soon.
Probably first week of March. Is that too long? Or?
No, because that's like next 2 weeks from today. It's March 1st.
I always forget how time flies.
I had to pull the calendar up to like know where I'm at, you know.
What year is it anyway? I never know what year I'm in anymore.
I go from project to project to project.
So let's figure 3 weeks then. That's okay. A little time.
Okay.
But the other thing is, if you guys want, send me an email and I'll get you the flyers. If you want to use them for anybody that you guys can drum up to come with us, we'd be happy to get those to you. But I think, yeah, if we do something in 3 weeks, that'd be great. Are you going to be in Uganda then, Kathleen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
I leave March 18th. Yeah.
So we'll have to make it fit to your time thing. That's the only thing, because you guys are up like 10 hours or something like that. So 2 or 3 weeks, I think, would be great.
Okay, like March 8th, maybe.
March 8th.
And Maya, I think you've got a lot of friends going through classes right now too, right?
Right. So like my childhood best friend, she's doing the class right now. She actually signed up for Power Week, and she's somebody who's not a believer, you know? And so I'm excited for her to go to Power Week with us and see what that's about. And I have a feeling she's gonna hop on the Uganda trip as well.
Oh, good. Super cool. That's really what makes these trips cool. In a lot of ways, you know, we're doing generosity, but we're also doing people's hearts.
Exactly.
That's really the, you know, when you say your non-church friend is going, it always gives me tingles. In fact, his Power Week, we got some kind of combination. I got 5 Mormons. I got probably 4 or 5 other church. And so I'm trying to figure out how to make it all work without, you know, and then fist fights with Mormons, I guess the way to put it. So, because I have a Mormon girl at BYU, and she just started chasing down everybody. And I go, well, that's great. I guess that's what God wants us to do.
They're very mission minded, and that's it's a cultural thing, right? So they're ready to go. Yeah, make a difference.
Piggybacking off the visa for a second is that for Uganda, Kathleen, I still assume they require a yellow fever vaccination. And that's a somewhat expensive one here in the States, and it's live culture, so not everybody carries it. So that's something that.
Yeah, thanks for asking me about that, because Nigeria was tough. I had a few people that scrambled at the last minute because they were holding out. They really didn't want to get it. And there was some confusion as to whether or not it was mandatory and whether or not they would be turned back at the gate if they didn't have the vaccination. So we'll just start to talk about that. I'm also coming to the realization that if you don't have a passport when you apply, I'm not going to dink around with that, because we did that twice, and the people that you know, got frustrated because they couldn't get a passport appointment, didn't go on the trip. And that was really a tough thing. So that's another thing I'm kind of demanding, is that, you know, when they sign up, have to have a passport.
Yeah, you have to upload the shot record when you apply for your visa. So you won't even get past that point. They kick you right out of the system if you don't show it in there. So
thank you. Okay.
Yeah, and that what we ran into with ours is, at the time, you couldn't get individual doses of it. So you had to go to a doctor, and you either had to pay for a full vial, which is 5 doses.
Oh.
Hope you can find 4 other people, or you pay for the full vial, because once you open it, I mean, it's good for like an hour or something crazy. So yeah, that was the issue we ran into a few years ago with it. But
okay,
that's not, you don't want to wait on that one at all.
No, I had sent somebody to the county website, and Orange County didn't have any. They had to go private to get it. Yep. And then that added another $100. So
yep.
Maybe that's something we talk about early on in the call, Dan, is you know, those things that are going to be expected when they travel.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then I think you'll put out a blast for the interest call, right?
Yeah, I will.
And then make sure in there you get passports now, no matter where you're going. So.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, you guys, we typically do the calls in the evening, which is like, you know, 6:30, 7 o'clock. Maya, Wednesdays are out for you. Is that right?
Yeah, Wednesdays are out. That's about it. Everything else I can adjust accordingly.
All right. So Chuck and Kathleen, you know, we've done them on a Sunday night. We've done them on a Tuesday night. I can't think of when else we've done them, Dan. I guess Thursdays if we're not running a class.
I'm pretty flexible.
Yeah, I'm pretty flexible too.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm looking at then March 8th, and I'll shoot for 7
p.m.
Yep.
Your time.
So that's 9 your time. Okay.
No problem. No
and
problem.
I'll make sure that I do better at communicating time zones to you.
Does that work for Kathleen, that she's in Uganda?
Kathleen's in.
I don't leave till the 18th, March 18th.
Okay, so the answer is yes, it'll work.
Did you say Did you say March 7th or 8th?
8th. Tuesday, March 8th. 7 o'clock. 9 o'clock your time. Yep.
And
also if you have people that haven't done GU, they're welcome to come to that, because we can get them through that next class. So it's open to everybody.
Sorry, Kathleen, what did you ask?
Typically, how long are those interest meetings?
If Dan doesn't talk too much, we can get it done in like an hour.
Okay.
I'm very interesting though, so that's why it's an interest meeting.
Typically, one of us here, I would introduce the call, say we're going, we want to introduce you to our in-country hosts. That would be the 2 of you. We would shoot that, you know, itinerary back up on the screen, tell them where we're going. You 2 can elaborate on what your work is that you're doing, so that they get a gist of, you know, what it really means to be going and what the impact is that you're making, and, you know, your teams. And then we'll give them the rundown on all the things you'll have to do in order to go. And then we'll open it up for Q&A. So I think we're pretty good about, you know, 45 minutes roughly, and an hour.
Okay.
If there's a lot of lingering stuff.
Okay, great.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks you guys very much. Unless you have any other questions, we'll just wrap it up. And excited. I'm excited. I wish I was going. I wish I was going on every trip. But I say that every time.
You guys have 2 great places that we're going to, so it's just really cool.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. Well, thank you. We appreciate you including us. So we're
thrilled. Kind of just a moment where one of our board members said, hey, by the way, you know, Cherish has revamped the facility, you know, we better go check it out. And it just worked out, because we were kind of fishing off here and thinking about here, and wanted to add a little bit more, you know, to make it impactful. And then our Nigeria trip was just way too crazy. And so, you know, the Lord had a hand.
Yeah.
Brought it back to zero and said, this is where you need to go.
Right.
Beth always blames the Lord.
Kathleen, do you have a website for Cherish?
Yes, it's cherishuganda.org.
Okay.
And is that the same for King's Kids?
King's Kids Africa. KINGS Africa.
Great.
And on our call, speaking of the call, we'll show those websites and kind of let people poke around.
Yeah, so the video would be great too if you know, have something that's like
videos.
3 minutes.
Videos really help a lot. Good videos.
Yeah.
I'll
get you something
in the next couple of days.
Right on. Yep. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks
Thank
a lot.
you.
Thanks. Nice meeting you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.